It was almost time for the offering when Aunt Han's phone rang. The number on the screen belonged to none other than her business partner. Aunt Han quickly answered. "I'm listening, Miss Thou." "You need to come over and recount the money. The order's messed up. Now, Miss Thou." "Yes, come right away." "All right, I'll be right there." Aunt Han called her eldest daughter over to give instructions. "Han, around 7 o'clock, please bring the offerings out, okay?" "Dear, yes." "Where are you going, Mom?" "I'm going over to Miss Thou's place. There's a mistake with the money." "I understand, Mom. You go ahead." Han, already in her senior year of high school, was capable of handling the offerings. As she stepped into the yard, Aunt Han warned her nieces and nephews, "Whatever you play, don't go near the river or streams. Don't go to any quiet intersections or crossroads. Understand? Today is the full moon of the 7th month. If you're too mischievous, I'll send you all back to your parents. Stay in this yard only." The children chorused, "We understand, Auntie." Aunt Han grabbed her motorbike and quickly left. Her job involved visiting orchards, buying fruits and produce to resell. Thanks to this, she and her husband had managed to build a decent, spacious home. Her nieces and nephews always came to stay at her house during holiday. They'd play for a whole month before returning to the city for school. Life at Aunt Han's was wonderful. There was a river, streams, and orchards. Anything they wanted to play with. More importantly, they weren't glued to modern gadgets that harmed their eyes and normal development. What truly mattered was that they had a peaceful, complete childhood. After Aunt Han left, Han went out to give the children their orders. "Go to the back, wash up, then each of you will have a bowl of rice." They all chorused yes. The children were as mischievous as devils, but they were terrified of Han. Fearing she might send them home, they obeyed her commands without question. It was almost 7 o'clock, and the children brought the offerings out to the yard to help Han. Tuan asked, "Han, are you making offerings for the full moon?" "Yes." "Your family doesn't, right?" "My parents are Catholic." No brought out a plate of cakes and chimed in. "Tuan's family doesn't even let them eat the offerings." Hung and Nam also brought out items to help. Nam spoke up. "Why are there so many offerings today, Han?" "Today is the big full moon, the 7th month full moon." "What's the 7th month full moon, Han?" "You spirits ask too many questions. Go play over there, so I can make my offerings." Tuan pleaded. "Let us go play on the road outside. It's noisy in here and will disturb your offerings. Go on. Remember what my mom told you." They all chorused, "Yes, we remember." They vied to quietly slip out of the gate. Meanwhile, Han began the offerings. In the countryside, unlike the city, the dim streetlights were spaced about 100 meters apart. The sky was dark, filled with the croaking of frogs. The air today felt a little colder. Although the houses were close together, they still seemed scattered. Because the plots were large, homes were often set back deep in their gardens, making them appear even more secluded at night. The children were used to it here, so they weren't afraid. Besides, there was a moon tonight. Not knowing what else to do, they wandered around, even stopping at Miss Mayo's house to buy snacks. Along the way, most houses displayed offerings in their front yards. Some who had offered early were already burning votive paper, its ashes scattering everywhere. The scent of incense wafted on the wind, reaching their noses. Flickering flames, wind-blown ashes flying aimlessly. Unburnt incense sticks were lit in front of houses. The aroma, the glowing tips of the incense burning in the dark, and the smoke rising from them gave the countryside a distinctly eerie feel tonight. Nee spoke up. Why is it fine usually, but tonight I feel a little scared, Tuan. Nan, eating ice cream, chimed in. Na is a girl, so she's too timid. Usually, we kids here can play until 10 p.m. and be perfectly fine, biking around. Maybe Hung and I are used to it, but you and Tuan aren't yet. After a while, they returned to Aunt Han's house. Tuan wondered, why isn't anyone running around on the street tonight? Hearing that, the children also looked around. And indeed, no one was there. Having finished their snacks, Hung suggested, just wandering around isn't much fun. How about we play hide and seek? They all agreed unanimously. Hey, that's a good idea. Even without the others, we can still play. They gathered, hands outstretched for a counting game. When someone had to hide their face against the wall, the others burst into laughter. He pouted, you guys are bullying me because I'm a girl. Tuan spoke up. All right, I'll be it first. Ned grinned with delight. Thank you, Tuan. Tuan began hiding his face against the wall by Aunt Han's gate and counting. 5, 10, 15, 100. Here I come. Here I come. Tuan turned around and started searching. After looking high and low, he found the other three. Each of them was drenched in sweat and stank. They were about to start playing again when Han brought out an iron bin to burn votive paper. Before burning, she even scattered rice and salt everywhere. The children ran over eagerly. Let me light it. Let me help clean up. The votive paper money was put into the iron bin and lit, the flames flaring up, making their faces hot. They watched, finding it a strange new amusement. They had visited Aunt Han's house many times, but this was the first time they were allowed to do such a sacred task. After the offerings, the whole group went inside to the porch to eat dessert and cakes. Looking around, Han frowned and asked, "Where's Nam?" They exchanged glances, then looked around, and indeed, Nam was nowhere to be seen. Tuan spoke up. When I ran inside earlier, I saw him right behind me. Suspecting something was wrong, Han ordered, "Stop eating. Go find him." So the whole group went to search together, this time not daring to split up, staying in a cluster. After searching everywhere to no avail, Han called her mother. "Mom, Nam is missing. We can't find him. Missing." "I'm coming home right away." The group didn't know where else to look. They had searched every place they'd been, but Nam was gone. Now they could only sit in the front yard, waiting for Aunt Han to return and scold them. Han was incredibly brave, still able to eat his sweet soup. Knee pinched him hard. Eating at a time like this? Well, what else can we do if we don't eat? And glared at Han, then also reached for a cake on the tray and ate it. Aunt Han arrived very quickly. As soon as she parked a motorbike in the yard, she asked if they had found Nam. Han shook her head. "Not yet, Mom." The children started chattering. We were all playing together, and when the game ended, all four of us were there. We don't know how, but Nam just vanished. Oh no, he must have been hidden by a ghost. All of you kneel down." Their faces turned pale. They clearly hadn't done anything wrong, yet they were being punished. Aunt Han told Han, "Call the relatives to help search and call Nam's parents too." "Yes, Auntie." Now searching. "Nam, where are you, son?" Nam could hear Aunt Han searching. The neighbors also eagerly came out to help. Some even blamed them for letting the children play like that during the ghost month, saying he might have been hidden by hungry ghosts. Stories of ghosts hiding people were not new, but the fear that Nam might be taken as a substitute by a lost spirit during ghost month was truly worrying. Over an hour passed, but there was still no trace of Nam. "It isn't trace of Nam." Nam's parents were frantic, turning to blame Aunt Han. "I entrusted him to you. You should have watched him. I only left for a little while on an errand." Miss Tian, Nam's mother, sobbed. Could Nam have been kidnapped by bad people? "Boo-hoo!" Uncle Dung snapped at his wife. "Stop talking nonsense. If we can't find him soon, we'll have to call the police." After that, everyone continued to split up and search. Aunt Han kept lighting incense and praying. People shined flashlights through the bushes near the riverbank. Not to mention the bamboo groves. All the places where ghosts might hide were thoroughly searched. After another hour, he still wasn't found. Uncle Dung sat inside the house, looking across the road. Could Nam have been hidden up in that wutong tree over there? After he said that, everyone's eyes turned to the other side of the road. The silhouette of the old wutong tree stood tall and dark, its branches sprawling thickly, looking ominous. Aunt Han replied, "I searched everywhere. I searched by the river, but still nothing." With that, Aunt Han went back inside to light incense and pray to her ancestors once more. To find something from the spiritual realm, one could only rely on the departed. Everyone was helpless. Miss Tian continued to cry endlessly, looking out at the pitch-black night sky. Where could they possibly find their child? Ink, who had been lying perfectly still, suddenly sprang up, head down, and ran straight towards the wutong tree by the road. "What?" Aunt Han called loudly. "Ink, where are you running? Come back here quickly." Ink didn't listen. After a few seconds of running, he started barking loudly, barking and growling. Everyone felt a shiver, not daring to follow. They said dogs could see ghosts, especially black dogs. Ink barked very loudly over there, while on this side, they kept calling him back, making a commotion throughout the neighborhood. Fearing they would bother others, finally, everyone in Aunt Han's family, with flashlights in hand, bravely walked across, holding hands. Wherever the flashlight beams cut through the darkness, their hearts pounded with anticipation. What if they didn't find Nam but found something else? They'd probably all scatter and run. Even being in a large group, standing under the canopy of the old wutong tree, everyone felt a chill. They had a feeling that many people were sitting above their heads, their legs dangling down, watching. That's why no one dared to look up, especially on the full moon of the 7th month. Any carelessness could lead to encountering hungry ghosts. The flashlight beam fell on Ink, who was wagging his tail. Uncle Dung gasped, but not loudly enough for more than those present to hear. Nam, he's here. Without another word, Uncle Dung handed the flashlight to his wife, then bent down and carried Nam back. Everyone knew stories of ghosts hiding people, but how many in this house had actually witnessed it? Nam sat hunched, his eyes fixed, body stiff, mouth full of cow dung. It was disgusting. Uncle Dung laid Nam down on the porch, gently patted him, calling his name, and even picked the cow dung out of his mouth. Seeing him like that, everyone felt sorry for him, wishing him peace. Yet no one could help but crack a smile. Those not directly involved stood far away, peeking because he reeked. Miss Un Yin said, "Someone call an ambulance." Another person spoke up. "Give him some child's urine to drink and wash his face, and he'll wake up." That's what I heard people say. Aunt Han heard this and went inside to call Tuan. "Tuan, come here and pee into this bowl for Auntie." Tuan had seen Nam and was terrified. He stammered, I can't pee." "Auntie." Seeing his pale face, Aunt Han turned to Han. At least Han was from the countryside, so he was more accustomed to things. After Han finished peeing, Aunt Han carried it out to the porch and gave it to Nam's father. Uncle Dung used the urine to wash Nam's face, and even poured some into his mouth for him to drink. Surprisingly, it worked. He truly woke up. He frowned and scrunched his face. "Dad, what did you give me to eat?" "It smells so bad, Dad." "Cow dung. You were hidden by a ghost. It fed you a mouth full of cow dung." Hearing that, he turned away, gagging and trying to vomit everything out. Han even brought him a basin of water to wash his face. Feeling he was stable, Uncle Dung asked him, "What were you doing over there?" "Right by that old wutong tree." "I didn't go over there. After playing hide and seek, I saw Han cleaning up, so we ran back. But someone called me from behind, and I turned around." "Who called you?" "Some kids. There were a lot of them, hiding right by the wutong tree. They lured me over to play, and even gave me cakes to eat." Now he knew it wasn't cake but cow dung. "All right, let's go home." After this 7th month passes, "I'll let you come play at Aunt Han's again." Nam pleaded, "Dad, let me stay and play." "The older cousins are all gone now. If you want to play, I'll bring you back tomorrow. Right now, you reek so bad even dogs won't come near you." "Yes." Nam obediently climbed onto his father's motorbike to go home. Everyone else went back to their own homes. The remaining people quickly went to sleep, knowing that if they blinked, morning would be gone. "Nay, sleeping with Han whispered, "It's a good thing we had ink, right, Han? If not, who knows where we'd find Nam?" "Yes, Ink is the son of Spot. Grandma used to raise him. When Grandma passed away, Nam asked to keep Ink. Uncle Dung and Miss Tien's house was too small, so there was no room to keep him, and they brought him here to your place. So Ink has been here for 2 years now. Do you think Grandma sent Ink to find Nam?" Han smiled gently. "Spiritual matters are hard to explain. Go to sleep." True to his word, the next day, Uncle Dung brought Nam back to Aunt Han's house to play. Nam was overjoyed to see the other children, but the others kept their distance from Nam, afraid of the smell of cow dung. Nam defended himself. I bathed really well. I'm clean and fragrant like a flower. Tuan teased him. You might be fragrant, but is your mouth still full of cow dung? The whole group burst into laughter. Just then, Aunt Han called loudly, "All of you, come eat dinner." They all ran down, each scooping a bowl of rice, then returned to their usual spot on the cool porch to eat. Aunt Han also scooped a bowl of rice and sat down to eat with them. Tuan spoke up. "Is the 7th month really that scary, Auntie? It depends on each person's beliefs and spirituality. Generally, you should always be careful, not just in the 7th month. As long as you don't offend the spirits, you'll be fine. Want to hear a ghost story?" The lively group of kids all chorused, "Yes, Auntie, you bunch. Aren't you afraid of ghosts? Yet you want to hear. We want to hear. We want to hear so we can learn and not eat cow dung like Nam." "Hearing nice," replied. The whole group burst into laughter again, making Nam feel embarrassed. Aunt Han continued, "Sit still and properly, and I'll tell you a ghost story about the 7th month. A true ghost story that I witnessed." The whole group sat in silence, eating their rice while listening to Aunt Han's story. Back in the 90s, I had just moved here as a daughter-in-law. That morning, I went to the market early to buy things for the full moon offering. It was the full moon of the 7th month. I pedaled my clunky bicycle into the yard, put down my groceries, and asked my mother-in-law, who was standing by the gate looking out, "What's going on, Mom?" My mother-in-law replied, "They're building the road, dear." "Why are they building the road this month, and not at the end of the month? For heaven's sake. And on the full moon, too. It must be the government's project, so they don't consider such things." That year, this road was still muddy. During the rainy season, it was a quagmire of mud and slush. If you weren't careful, you'd fall repeatedly and almost break your backside. In the dry season, the earth was hard and lumpy, and walking stirred up blinding dust. Opposite my in-laws' house was the river, and on its bank already stood a fairly large wutong tree. The road construction crew set up camp on the plot of land next to my in-laws' house because it was the emptiest and cleanest spot from the start of the road. Their temporary shack was built from old corrugated iron sheets and old wooden poles. The current road crew had 7 people, including the foreman. According to the plan, they were to begin work today at 2 p.m., so they were still quite relaxed. Uncle Ben, the eldest, was in charge of food and drink for the crew. After receiving money from the foreman, he put on his hat and took his old bicycle to the market. He returned after more than an hour. As soon as he arrived, Mr. Trong, the foreman, seemed annoyed with him. "Were you planning to buy out the entire market, Uncle, before coming back?" "I just went, and I'm not familiar with the market yet." Mr. Trong scrutinized the things Uncle Ben had bought. "What are these votive paper clothes for?" "Truong Construction doesn't do offerings, Uncle. Not believing in spirits or the supernatural." Truong didn't care about such things. Truong urged, "All right, Uncle. Go take care of the food and water. The men will eat early, rest early, and work this afternoon." "I understand, Foreman." Uncle Ben took the groceries to the back area and started cooking. After eating, everyone climbed onto the makeshift wooden beds to sleep. The corrugated roof was low, but luckily, the weather this month was cool, so sleeping was comfortable. At 2:00 p.m., everyone was present. They gathered at the head of the work site. Uncle Ben brought out a tray of cakes and fruits, placing it on a chair for Truong to offer. After the offering, construction began. The first day was just for formality. Not much was accomplished. They had to wait for the excavator and barge to arrive tomorrow morning. They only broke up the road. They broke up as much as they could so that tomorrow they could add more soil from the river to bind and raise the road. Before they knew it, it was evening. They decided to go bathe in the river. After all, the river water was clean. Seeing everyone undress, wearing only their shorts, Uncle Ben called out, "Hey, where are you all going?" Kwan spoke up, "We're going to the river to cool off." "Are you crazy, son? It's the full moon of the 7th month, and you're bathing in the river. Get inside, all you." Kwan laughed loudly. "Uncle, if we don't bother anyone, no one will bother us." Hearing this, Tongue, Thin, and Sun decided not to go and instead scooped water from a barrel on the side of the shack to bathe. Kwan scoffed, "Cowards. Let's go, Don." Kwan and Don went straight over and waded into the river to bathe. It wasn't even dusk yet. They bathed until it was nearly dark before getting out. Don, who had bathed closer to shore, came out first. Kwan followed. As he was wading, Kwan suddenly stumbled and fell face down into the water, his hands flailing. Hearing the splashing, Don turned back to look. "Come on, Kwan, why are you still bathing?" Seeing Kwan not getting up, his hands still flailing, Don sensed something was wrong and waded back to grab Kwan's hand and pull him up. When Kwan was pulled out of the water, he gasped for breath, stammering, Get out, quick!" "What happened, Kwan?" I felt my leg being pulled." Hearing that, Don understood enough. Kwan warned, "Don't tell anyone, okay? I'm warning you." "I understand." The two of them got to shore and went straight to the side of the shack to rinse off. At dinner, Kwan's face was still pale and dazed. He wasn't as lively as usual. Tung looked at him and teased, "Why is your face so pale after bathing in the river, Kwan?" Kwan just looked at him, not daring to say anything. He silently continued eating. Someone spoke up, teasing, "He must have had his leg pulled by a water ghost." Don instinctively replied, "How do you know?" Before Truong could finish his sentence, Don's mouth was immediately covered by Kwan. Kwan glared. "Eat your food. Why are you guys asking so many questions?" The whole group stopped laughing and began to feel a little suspicious. No one said a word to anyone else, continuing to bury their heads in their food. After dinner, they sat in the shack, humming a few random tunes. Here, there were no street lights after dark. The sky was pitch black, and the light inside the shack was just a single bare bulb. Seeing how dark it was, Uncle Ben brought out a tray of offerings. The offerings were simple. A few bowls of sweet soup, some cakes, and a little fruit. Truong, lying in a hammock inside the shack, turned to the others and said, "This old man offers every day." The whole group just chuckled, saying nothing. Looking around, Kwan had already dozed off, perhaps exhausted from the first day of work. The good thing was Quan snored loudly, which Truong just teased. Damn, with him snoring like that, no one will be able to sleep tonight. Seeing Uncle Ben making offerings in front of the shack, Truong sat up and spoke. Hey, wanna mess with Quan a bit? Tin asked. How? You take a blanket, cover him up, and then wail. He'll be scared senseless. Dawn interjected. No, don't play like that, Mr. Truong. This afternoon, when Quan bathed in the river, his leg was pulled by a water ghost. The whole group listened in astonishment. Truong burst out laughing. Nonsense. Ghosts. So, everyone who bathes here gets their leg pulled. It's true, Mr. Truong. When he came up earlier, I saw a bruised handprint on Quan's leg. The others whispered, how creepy. This is the first time hearing it directly. I've bathed in the river countless times and never experienced anything. Lucky us! Truong frowned, smirking. You men are such cowards. I'll scare him again for more fun. Truong got up from the hammock, took a bunch of ripe bananas Uncle Ben had bought for everyone to eat, and then grabbed a cup filled with rice. Truong gently took the blanket and pulled it over Quan, covering him completely. He placed the offerings at Quan's feet and lit some incense. Before playing the foolish prank, he didn't forget to instruct the others. Later, when Quan wakes up, you guys have to look at him and shout, Ghost, got it? After giving instructions, Truong stuck an incense stick into the cup of rice and pretended to cry mournfully. Quan, why did you die such a tragic death, Quan? If you're dead, leave your girlfriend to me. Okay, Quan? The whole group burst into laughter, even Duon. Uncle Ben heard the loud laughter, so he abandoned his offerings and ran in to see what was happening. Seeing the scene, Uncle Ben's face turned pale. Oh my goodness, haven't you run out of pranks? Truong spoke up. It's just a fun prank. No harm done. You're too serious, Uncle. How can you play like this on the full moon of the 7th month? Uncle Ben grabbed the blanket, pulled it away, then shook Quan. Quan, wake up, son. They're making such a racket, and you're sleeping soundly. Wake up! He shook him several times, but Quan didn't wake up, showing no sign of movement. Uncle Ben became a little worried and called again. Quan, wake up, son, wake up! Luckily, Quan opened his eyes, but his gaze was fixed, staring blankly in one direction, with no other reaction. Uncle Ben turned to the group and asked, All of you, come see what's wrong with Quan. Thinking Uncle Ben was joking, Thin spoke up. Come on, Uncle, did you call us over to scare Quan? I'm not joking with you. Come here quickly. Everyone gathered to look, and it was just as Uncle Ben said. Quan lay perfectly still and unresponsive, not answering when called, showing no reaction whatsoever. Truong also turned pale. He stammered, Could he have been possessed by a ghost when his leg was pulled this afternoon, Uncle? What ghost would come ashore to possess someone? If it wanted to possess him, it would have done so in the river. Quickly, get the motorbike and take him to the medical station. Dawn quickly got the motorbike. Everyone carried Quan onto it, with Thin supporting him from behind. Before leaving, Truong still warned, When you get there, don't say anything about what I told you, understand? If you must say something, just mention the leg-pulling incident. We understand. They left. Truong then turned back to the others, also giving instructions. Consider what happened today an unforeseen incident. Everyone rest and sleep early. We have work tomorrow. Yes, Uncle Ben also ran outside to lower the offering tray and burn the votive paper clothes. The night was as dark as ink. In front of the makeshift shack, the burning votive paper's flames flickered, scattering ashes everywhere. Bits of paper, still carrying embers, floated up into the air. From a distance, it looked haunting. After the offerings, Uncle Ben brought everything inside for everyone to eat. Eat some sweets, then go to sleep. All of you. Yes, everyone huddled together, eating sweet soup and cakes to calm their nerves. While they were eating, a thunderstorm suddenly broke outside with loud thunderclaps. Son exclaimed, "Oh no, it's going to rain." Son shoved the rest of his cake into his mouth and ran to the side to pull in the blanket that had been drying. The light reaching there was only the faint glow emanating from the temporary shack. It was very dark outside, filled with the croaking of frogs and toads and the chirping of insects, yet it still felt eerily silent afterwards. Son heard Uncle Ben calling, also he thought. Son turned around and replied, "I'm coming in." Fluttering beneath the blanket on the opposite side were bare, mud-stained feet standing all around. Son suddenly felt a surge of fear, grabbed both ends of the blanket, yanked it in quickly, and ran into the shack. After pulling it in, he didn't dare to look back even once. White figures, sometimes visible, sometimes not, big and small, were gathering there. Was it because of the offerings and incense smoke that the wandering ghosts and spirits had flocked to partake? Inside the shack, Son shook the blanket a few times before folding it. Son said, "Uncle Ben, what were you calling me for earlier?" "Who called you?" "I didn't, but I heard it clearly." "I didn't." "If you don't believe me, ask them." The others also chimed in. No one called. Son looked at them, then at Uncle Ben. "You two are playing tricks on me." "No, truly, who would dare to trick you now?" Seeing everyone's serious faces, Son understood and quietly went to lie down in the middle of the bed. The others helped each other close the shack door. Ting lay close to Uncle Ben, whispering, "It's only our first day working here, but it's so creepy, Uncle." "It's your own fault. I just hope Quan hasn't lost his soul to some spirit. Now, go to sleep." "Yes." Near dawn, Dom and Thin returned. Uncle Ben asked, "How is Quan?" "Quan's family has come to pick him up, so we came back." Uncle Ben sighed, then urged, "All right, you two, go eat breakfast. You still have to work later." "Yes." As the two of them went inside, the others also started to wake up. Tuong didn't care about Quan's condition anymore, considering that he had been taken away and his responsibility was over. After everyone ate, the dump trucks and excavators arrived. In short, all the vehicles supporting road construction were present. They began to dig the road and scoop sand from the river to raise the roadbed. Initially, they didn't dig in the main river, but right at the riverbank, loading the sand onto trucks to be dumped onto the road. According to the project, that part of the riverbank would also be narrowed to build the road closer. Everyone had their own tasks. Children and curious onlookers gathered nearby to watch the workers build the road. Nothing would have been noteworthy if the excavator hadn't dug up a bleached white skull. It was buried in a layer of black earth. When the excavator's bucket brought it near the sand truck, everyone was startled. One person screamed loudly and signaled the excavator operator, "Stop! Stop immediately." Then that person continued to signal the operator to lower the bucket to the ground near the truck. The skull rolled out of the black earth. And everyone present became chaotic. Truong exhaled sharply. "What the hell is that? It just got scooped up." An old man who had lived there for a long time spoke up. "Back when we lived here, anyone who died was just wrapped in a mat and sunk into that patch of land. During the rainy season, the earth was very soft. You'd push them down, cover it flat, and that was it. Adults were sometimes buried, but children were just brought here, wrapped in mats." "And stuffed down. Truong asked. "And later, they didn't dig them up and rebury them, Grandpa?" "No. In those days, people were so hungry they barely had enough to eat. How could they remember the dead son? Adults sometimes remembered, but children were rarely remembered. And even if they did remember, how would they know which bones belonged to their children or grandchildren? How awful." The old man seemed angry. "You weren't born in wartime, so you don't understand. When the enemy came, everyone who was alive hugged each other and ran. Being alive then was a blessing. And for the dead, having a place to be buried was already fortunate. Haven't you seen bombs and bullets? Dead bodies lying everywhere on the roads. Some people died from bombs and bullets, and all that was left of their bodies could fit in a single bowl. With that, the old man, very angry, turned and walked away. He blamed the young generation for not understanding anything." Truong then told Uncle Ben, "Uncle, go to the market and buy some offerings so we can rebury that skull." "I'll go right away. Buy the offerings immediately. Don't go wandering around buying food." "I understand." Uncle Ben grabbed his bicycle and pedaled quickly to the market. The workers sat to one side, waiting. Truong told Uncle Lam, the excavator operator, "You're all done too. Who's going to rebury these bones, Uncle?" "There are people who specialize in reburying bones for relocation. But who do we invite? Ask the villagers around here." "I'm new here. I don't know." Truong still looked annoyed, but went to ask the villagers standing nearby. Someone pointed him to a bone collector. So, Truong sent Son to invite that person. A little later, the professional bone collector arrived. Uncle Ben also brought out the offering tray and placed it near the newly dug soil. Truong again sincerely prayed, "To the departed, I am the foreman of the road construction crew here. Unfortunately, we have dug up your remains. We ask for your forgiveness. We will find a proper place for burial, so that you may rest peacefully, without further disturbance." After the offering, they waited for the incense to burn down before the bone collector could begin. Truong then told Uncle Lam, "Looking at these remains, it must be a child's." The old man already said so, didn't he? Most of them are children. Let's wait. After more than 2/3 of the incense had burned down, the bone collector prayed, then went to work. The workers also helped him to facilitate the process. After more than an hour, the bones were neatly arranged on a prepared tarp. The bones had been buried for a long time by the riverbank, so not all of them remained. The bone collector searched in the soil for another half-hour, but still couldn't find the missing leg bone. Uncle Lamb looked at the bones and told Trong, "It must have been washed away by the river, or it could be at the bottom of the river nearby. This area used to flood constantly. Let's call Tan's team to handle these remains." Yes. After calling the team to handle the remains, Trong returned to the workers and shouted, "All right, let's get back to work, you guys. What are you sitting around waiting for?" The workers stood up and resumed their tasks. The puzzling thing was that from the moment they started digging the sand, the trucks, the excavators, everything seemed to seize up simultaneously. Not a single one would operate. No matter how hard they tried to start them, nothing worked. Everyone looked at each other in confusion. They focused on checking the machinery for any malfunctions. Tong sat looking out at the river and suddenly screamed, "Look, everyone, look!" Tong's shout was quite loud, so everyone looked out. The chain of the excavator, used to scoop sand from the river, snapped and fell straight down. The sand barge also stalled and wouldn't start, but it was drifting away. Everything was happening too terribly fast. From the moment the skull was dug up, more villagers had lingered to watch. And now, a deluge of chilling rumors began to spread. They tried to fix the machines repeatedly, but to no avail. It was already mealtime. Uncle Ben ran over to call them. "It's past lunchtime. Come eat, boys." Joong grumbled angrily. "Damn it, we haven't even made progress, and you're thinking about eating and drinking." Uncle Lamb slapped Joong hard on the shoulder. "You're the foreman, but you're being unreasonable. If you don't eat, let others eat." With that, Uncle Lamb walked to the other side of the road. All the back and forth since morning had made him famished. The operators of the vehicles and other equipment also joined Truong's team until the road was finished. Another temporary shack was built next to Truong's team's shack. The number of meals also increased, and Uncle Ben became much busier. Aunt Han's mother-in-law had also gone there to gossip, only returning home for mealtime. When Aunt Han saw her mother-in-law return, she asked, "You're back, Mom. How are things out there? Have they fixed the machines yet?" "Not yet. I told them if they don't make proper offerings and prayers, it'll be hard to get anything done. I don't know about adult spirits, but child spirits are very potent. For example, if someone promised at their burial to come pick them up on a certain day, and they don't, the spirit will wait there forever." Aunt Han got goosebumps hearing this. She continued to ask, "Did our family bury anyone out there, Mom?" "I don't know. It's been too long, and I haven't heard anyone mention it. If there was, it would be out there. If lucky, the bones might still be there. But if not, they would have been swept into the river. You, go set the table. Mom is hungry." "Yes." Aunt Han's mother-in-law suddenly looked out at the section of the river with the wutong tree. Back then, she was just a small child, so she wouldn't have known whether such stories were true or not. Everyone thought that was the end of it, but by evening, not a single vehicle could be started. Helpless, Truong swore again. Seeing that the situation was not good, Uncle Lam spoke up. "Have the boys dig a bit more in the adjacent areas carefully." "Yeah." "Liu, Luna, on. As if understanding Uncle Lamb's intention, Truong went over to urge the workers. All of you, dig up those layers of soil. The layers near where we found that small bone. The workers took their tools and began digging. The top layer of soil was quite hard. Digging with a shovel wasn't easy. They had to use a pickaxe and then a hammer to break through. After getting through the hard top layer, the soil underneath was softer. After a while of digging, they discovered 2 more intact child skeletons and 1 adult skeleton, only from the hips down. Everyone just looked at each other, their faces pale. So many remains in just a short stretch. What should they do? These people had been at rest, and drilling and digging like this was disturbing their eternal sleep. Whatever they disturbed, disturbing the spiritual realm would lead to many unexplainable things. Uncle Lam told Truong, "You should really invite a master to come and pray. What we're doing is disturbing their peace. It won't work otherwise." Truong replied, "Come on, Uncle. We've already made offerings and prayers. Inviting a master again will cost money. And what do we get from feeding those masters? Just leave it. I'll handle these bones and everything will be fine by tomorrow." Uncle Lam looked at Truong and frowned. "You're still young, so you haven't seen a coffin and shed no tears, have you, son?" "To be honest, Uncle, I've never believed in any of this, nor have I ever made offerings." "Then how did you become such a good foreman?" "I'm skilled." Uncle Lam said nothing more, shaking his head wearily and leaving. Truong might say that, but he had an uncle in the government. This foreman position was nothing for him. At 2 a.m., as everyone was deep in sleep, the night outside was utterly desolate and silent. The wind from the river whistled through the gaps of the old corrugated iron sheets, sounding like ghosts calling to each other. Ting ting, hoo hoo. Everyone in both temporary shacks jolted awake. Some couldn't bear it and covered their ears. Most of them had pounding hearts, panicked, not understanding what was happening. After a moment to collect themselves, they dared each other to go check the vehicles. Truong was also there, swearing again. "Damn it, when they're needed, they don't work. But when they're not, they start up." The howling sound from the vehicles suddenly echoed, horns blaring. All of them started operating simultaneously. The vehicle lights flashed continuously, and the roaring engines were so loud they made everyone's head ache. Along with that was the incessant barking of dogs. "Don't ask Truong. What do we do now?" "What else?" "Go turn them off." Everyone split up to turn off the machines. But no matter how they turned the ignition keys, they couldn't switch them off. Now they feared something else, even more than the machines operating on their own. They tried to handle the situation as quickly as possible, because, while working, they felt as if someone was standing around, staring at them. Uncle Lam didn't go over to the vehicles, but just stood watching. Behind him, another person also didn't go. Uncle Lam asked, "You're the excavator driver. Why are you standing here?" That person's face was pale, shivering occasionally, his voice stammering. Why aren't you going over, Uncle?" "I asked you first." The person retreated behind Uncle Lam, hiding, only daring to peek over to the other side. "Uncle, do you see what I see? Those child spirits, they're jumping and playing around those vehicles. You see it too?" "I see the exact same thing. So I don't dare to go over." A deep voice resonated. "See what?" Both Uncle Lam and the other person jumped and screamed. Uncle Lamb asked, "Uncle Ben, why are you here too? You see it too, don't you?" "I don't see anything. I just don't know how to turn off the machines." So I didn't go over. I was alone in the shack. So scared, I ran over here. This is definitely spiritual. All three of them intently stood on this side, looking across. Not even 10 minutes passed before the people on the other side started running back, one after another. Uncle Lamb asked, "Why are you all running back?" A worker spoke up, "Ghosts, Uncle! Ghosts are throwing mud at us." Those who had mud thrown at them hastily wiped themselves with towels, but no one dared to step outside anymore. The loud noise of the operating vehicles echoed throughout the area, destroying its inherent peace. The surrounding residents, curious, turned on their lights and stood by their gates, wondering what was happening. Uncle Lamb sat near Trong, but had to shout loudly to be heard over the noise. "So, what are you going to do, Uncle? Should we go over there and cut all the electrical wires, Uncle?" "If you can cut them, then cut them. We'll connect them again tomorrow. But I don't dare to go over there. It's too terrifying." "So, what are you going to do, Uncle?" "What else can we do, Uncle?" "We have to invite a master urgently tomorrow." Everyone huddled together in the temporary shack, discussing all sorts of things. With that much noise, how could anyone sleep? Those terrible sounds echoed in the night for about 30 minutes, then suddenly ceased, and the machines fell silent and dead again as before. Without anyone telling them to, they automatically went to their beds and lay close to each other to sleep. They thought they would have peace, but no. Around the two temporary shacks, the sounds of children running, jumping, and laughing began to appear. Not only that, they were running and jumping on the old corrugated iron roof. Thin, terrified, hugged Son tightly. He mumbled, "Ghosts, ghosts, they followed us all the way here." It wasn't just Thin. Everyone was frightened. They had always thought ghosts only existed in cemeteries, in gloomy, silent forests. Running and jumping on the tin roof, they began to throw mud at the old corrugated sheets. Wow! It wasn't until the rooster crowed that everything became silent again. After an exhausting night, everyone tried to catch some sleep. Uncle Ben, however, couldn't sleep much longer, and had to get up to go to the market to buy food for everyone. Pulling an old corrugated iron sheet aside, he stepped outside. Uncle Ben was utterly terrified, his mouth stammering, his hand pointing upwards. These handprints, how did they get up here? On the old corrugated iron sheets outside, countless large and small handprints and footprints were clearly visible. Some handprints or footprints were incomplete, and there was also mud. Uncle Ben suddenly got goosebumps all over, quickly took his bicycle, and left without calling anyone. He knew that when they woke up shortly, they would see what he had seen. Last night had truly been a terrifying night for everyone, the road workers and the surrounding residents. That morning, Truong had invited several monks from a nearby pagoda to set up an altar for offerings. Cakes, soft drinks, and milk were arranged on 3 large tables. Nometan D.R.G. And Caldi Wall last show. Anthriat. Upday. Calstro. Acceptayali. The monks chanted scriptures and performed various rituals, which took over 2 hours to complete. Locals and people from neighboring areas also flocked to watch because the story of digging up human remains had spread through the market since yesterday. After the ceremony, Truong had to give the monks a considerable sum of money. But it was true that these monks were effective. The vehicle started operating normally again without needing any repairs. Yesterday had been tiring. Today's work was even more so. That evening, after everyone ate, they hurried to sleep early, thinking they would get a good night's rest. Who would have thought that, when the clock struck exactly 2 a.m., everything would repeat as before? The howling sounds, the onking, again made their ears ache and heads pound. Truong went to ask Uncle Lam, "Why did you say inviting the master would solve everything?" "Because you invited a fake master. If we're not the local spiritual guardians here, we should ask the locals. If you invite someone on your own initiative, who can you blame?" Truong was furious. He had lost a lot of money, and the work kept encountering problems. Yet, the fortune teller had said that this year, Truong's business would be smooth sailing, soaring like a kite in the wind. The next morning, Truong asked the surrounding residents and those who had come to see the haunted construction site. After a while of asking, he learned about Master Bei Mai, who lived far down in the lower village on the other side. A man rumored to keep ghost soldiers. Whether it was because he kept ghost soldiers or not, he was very skilled and did many things to help people. It was just strange that he couldn't have a son to carry on his lineage, but had 5 daughters. Master Bei Mai was driven there by Truong. Uncle Ben had already bought the basic offerings, similar to what the monks had used yesterday. Master Bei Mai looked at the items and then instructed Uncle Ben, "Bring me a very large tray of rice and salt and 200 candles about a hand-span high. Later, as I scatter the rice and salt, you light a candle every hand-span." Uncle Ben immediately complied. Master Bei Mai began his work. He opened all the packages of cakes on the table. He also inserted straws into all the milk cartons. But he didn't leave them on the table. Instead, he placed them on the ground on both sides in front of the offering table. Only fruits, votive paper, and flowers remained on the table. Master Bei Mai didn't chant any scriptures. He lit the incense and murmured prayers to all the spirits here. "Today, I humbly lay out this offering. I invite all of you unseen spirits to eat your fill, and then I ask you to follow your remains so that the road construction crew can rebury you elsewhere properly, so you may find peace and no longer be disturbed by noise." After praying, Master Bei Mai took the tray of rice and salt and scattered a thin line from the offering table to the end of the road, more than 300 meters long. Uncle Ben followed the master to the end of the road, then circled back to the wutong tree. The master also scattered rice and salt around the tree and lit 5 more candles there. What was noteworthy was that he lit incense 3 times, not just less than once, like the monks yesterday. He said they were very hungry, so he let them eat their fill a bit. Other places were fine, but the wutong tree area was important. Onlookers also discussed excitedly, but didn't dare to speak loudly, so as not to disturb the master's ritual. Truong, seeing this, also wondered, "Why are you scattering rice and salt by the wutong tree, master?" I was going to tell you later. Since you asked, I'll tell you now. When you build the road, leave a little bit of land around that wutong tree and cover it with concrete. Don't destroy it. Many lost souls reside there. That's like their home. Truong, only acknowledged with a yes, not realizing that spiritual matters held so many intriguing things. After the third incense had burned down, Uncle Ben also burned votive paper, and Master Bei Mai asked to leave. Truong tried to keep him, slipping an envelope into his hand, but the master refused. I help living beings. I don't accept money. Just let me have some packages of cakes for the children in the neighborhood. Yes, master. Please take them. Master Bei Mai went to the offering table, took several packages of cakes and candies, put them into a plastic bag, and then got on a motorbike with another worker to go home. From the moment Master Bei Mai finished his ritual, everything went smoothly and favorably. Such a short stretch of road, yet they had dug up 8 bodies. As for the wutong tree, the workers there would go out to light incense every dusk. The construction, after several months, was finally completed. Hearing Aunt Han tell the story up to that point, the children all clamored. Is that all, Auntie? Why is Mr. Truong's personality so strange? Exactly, he's kind of reckless, isn't he? Aunt Han spoke up. It was precisely that personality that led to big problems later on. The whole group clamored, there's more, Auntie. Please continue. Yes, Auntie, we're so excited. Aunt Han looked at the children. Have you finished eating? They all chorused. Yes. Put your bowls down. Wash your hands and mouths thoroughly. Then come back up here. But go sit inside the house. It's the full moon tonight and dark. Even I'm scared. The group of children jumped up, rushing downstairs to quickly run back up and listen to Aunt Han continue her story. Seeing the children gathered around, Aunt Han began to narrate. After finishing this road, Truong's team rested for 20 days before starting another project. This time, it was to build a residential area, a planned site for housing. It was a vast, overgrown, empty plot of land. The first day involved clearing trees and weeds. Once a large area was cleared, there was space to set up a temporary shack for the workers. This place wasn't near a river like the previous one, so they had to drill a well for water. Learning from the previous experience, this time Truong told Uncle Ben to buy more elaborate offerings. And when he made the offerings, Truong prayed more sincerely. Perhaps because Truong prayed sincerely and made sufficient offerings, the work became much smoother. Thinking back to that time, everyone was afraid. Some even developed a fever from fear. On the 10th day of construction, the excavator hit something hard. The excavator driver stopped and climbed down to see what it was. After checking, he reported to Truong. Boss, I hit something. Hearing this, Truong's face paled slightly. Don't tell me you hit another set of bones. No, I see a lid that looks more like a wooden box. What kind of wooden box would be buried down there? All right, you and a few others dig it up. Yes, the excavator driver called over a few other workers to use pickaxes and shovels to dig up the unidentified object. After a strenuous effort, they managed to pull it out. It was a wooden box, or more precisely, a wooden chest. No one knew how long this chest had been buried, but it looked like limbwood, an extremely expensive type of wood. It, along with ironwood, was famous for its durability and high resistance to rot. Even if buried underground for hundreds of years, this type of wood hardly decomposed. Seeing the strange chest, Everyone gathered to look. The chest looked quite simple on the outside and had a brass lock. Doan looked at the chest, laughing and saying, "Wow, we might have dug up a chest of gold. No kidding. I heard that rich people fleeing war often buried their gold and marked the spot to dig it up later." The entire crew immediately agreed. Uncle Ben, however, was different. He said, "Don't touch it. What if there's something inside? Or should we just call the police to handle it?" Tom retorted, "What if it's full of gold or jewels, Uncle? Who knows? If we share a bit, it might ease our hardships." Song also agreed. "That's right, Uncle. The rich died 7 generations ago. We're just spending it for them. How do you know this chest contains gold, silver, and jewels? It has to contain those things, not the corpse, right, Uncle?" The whole group burst into mocking laughter. Uncle Ben said nothing, quietly returning to the makeshift shack. He wouldn't participate in anything so strange. Seeing Uncle Ben leave, Tung also spoke up. Maybe we should listen to Uncle Ben and let the police handle it. We don't know what's inside." Ting interjected. "If the police come, it'll become state property. We'll lose everything." "But we don't even know what's inside." Hearing everyone's back and forth, Truong also had an idea. It was true that if the police came, they'd lose everything. If there was a large fortune inside, they just needed to share a little with each person to keep them quiet. Truong spoke up. "Whoever dares to open it now will get the largest share. The rest will receive a split portion." Agreed? Everyone coveted the largest share, but their courage was tiny, so they remained silent. Truong then went and grabbed an iron crowbar. "If no one else will do it, I will." Truong held the crowbar and struck the lock forcefully. After a few blows, the lock sprang open. Having broken the lock, Truong tossed the crowbar aside and reached out to open the chest. Everyone craned their necks to see the result. Truong, also nervous, opened it slowly. As the chest lid popped open, everyone jumped back in surprise and screamed loudly. Inside, there wasn't a speck of gold or silver, but a dry skeleton buried in a sitting position. The skeleton was shriveled and chalky white. What was more unsettling was a small wooden stake driven into the top of the skull. That stake was still in the skull and hadn't fallen out. Even more notably, there were no talismans inside, but all the inner wooden surfaces were carved with crude, illegible drawings, no different from charms. The workers stood far back, discussing among themselves. "See, I told you not to open it. No gold, just a full set of bones. But why would they bury someone sitting and drive a stake into their head? Could it be suppressing something? Suppressing or trapping something? So creepy. Let's go over there." Truong also turned pale with fear, quickly ran after the workers and swore out of habit. "Damn it, why bury someone in a chest and not a coffin? I don't know." Although scared, Sun still teased. "You made us excited for nothing." Truong looked at it, thought for a few seconds, then walked back, grabbed the wooden stake on the skull, and pulled it out. To be dead and still have a stake driven into you like that is truly cruel. He thought that by doing this, he was doing a good deed. Who knew? Maybe the deceased would be grateful and bless him with wealth. The stake was pulled from the head, and the skull cracked further, a piece falling right into the chest. The wooden stake was then thrown back inside. No sooner had he tossed the stake into the chest, intending to call the police to handle it, than Truong suddenly fell to the ground. The workers ran to help Truong up. The fall was quite hard, causing him several scrapes and bruises. Son asked, "Why did you suddenly fall when you were just standing there?" Truong stood up, frowning. "I don't know. It felt like someone suddenly ran and slammed into me, and my whole body got hot very quickly. You must be having sunstroke, boss. Go rest." That afternoon, Truong ate 3 large bowls of rice. The bowl of soup he had just eaten was devoured ravenously, like someone who had been starving for years. Everyone watched in surprise. Uncle Ben asked, "Why are you eating 3 times more than usual today?" "Me? I'm so hungry. I don't know why, but I can't stand this hunger." Truong not only ate a lot, but also ate quickly, so everyone else's food ran out, and they had to eat instant noodle. After eating his fill and drinking a large jug of water, Truong went to bed for a nap. Everyone found it strange. Afterward, they gathered to discuss the chest. When it was time to wake up for work, Truong didn't want to get up. They had to call him several times before he did. As soon as he woke up, he asked, "I'm so hungry, Uncle. Is there anything to eat?" "Only instant noodles right now." "Make me 5 packs, Uncle. I'm too hungry." Uncle Ben went over to Truong and asked, "What's wrong with you, son? How do you feel?" "It feels like there's something in my stomach, Uncle. It keeps moving, and I'm constantly hungry. I probably need to buy deworming medicine tomorrow. Please make me the noodles quickly." All right. I'll go right away." The pot of noodles was brought out, still steaming hot. Yet Truong devoured it, eating so ravenously that he didn't even use chopsticks, but ate with his hands. That strange eating habit made the rest of the workers curious. After eating, the whole group went out to work. Everyone did their own tasks. Truong didn't yell or curse as he usually did. He just sat quietly in one spot, staring blankly. That evening, Truong also ate a lot. After eating his fill, he went to bed and snored loudly. Uncle Ben and the others went out front to smoke. Uncle Ben said, "Could he be possessed? He's been acting like someone else since morning." Dawn huddled closer to everyone, whispering, "Could Mr. Truong have released something? Like in horror movies." "Hey, don't say that. It's scary." Uncle Ben continued, "Let's see what happens tomorrow. Then we'll find a master to exorcise him. I told you from the beginning not to touch those things, but you wouldn't listen." Yee. Perhaps no one else noticed, but when the chest was opened, half of the lid looked like half of a torn talisman. Working hard during the day made everyone sleep soundly at night, snoring loudly. Tonight, the electricity was cut early, so each temporary shack had to light candles, 2 per shack. The 2 temporary shacks stood isolated in the middle of a large empty plot of land. There were no houses nearby. The sounds of rummaging and ravenous eating woke Tung. Tung was the lightest sleeper among the workers. Tung opened his eyes, then sat up abruptly. "Hello, Nitsa, little guy." "Ciao." It was very dark in the shack. One candle had gone out. Tong looked into the corner of the shack where Uncle Ben usually kept food and asked, "Are you hungry again, Mr. Truong?" Luckily, Uncle Ben cooked extra rice earlier, just in case you got hungry at night. The chewing sounds stopped. The black shadow in the dark corner stood up and slowly advanced towards Tong. He didn't pay attention, intending to lie back down and continue sleeping. When he realized Truong was still lying on his bed, asleep, Tong suddenly felt an icy chill run down his spine. Truong was lying here. So who was that over there? Not daring to utter another word, Tong quickly pulled the blanket over his head, cold sweat breaking out. Before pulling the blanket, he tried to pinch the person sleeping next to him to wake them up. Under the blanket, Tong could still clearly hear the sounds of dragging feet, and they stopped right at his feet. Terrified, he pulled his legs up, fearing that someone might grab them and pull him away. The footsteps had stopped, and then a strange, unfamiliar gurgling sound echoed. Tong didn't understand a single word. Terrified, the mournful, eerie cry of a stray cat outside made Tong want to scream, but he had to try hard to suppress it. If he made any movement that revealed he knew someone was at his feet, he would surely lose his soul. After lying still for a while, feeling peaceful, Tong peeked out from under the blanket, but whoever it was hadn't left. Instead, they were lying right next to him, a grayish face, mottled with many dark patches, its eyes wide open, staring at Tong. This time, he threw off the blanket and screamed loudly, "Ghost! There's a ghost! Help me!" Hearing the frantic scream, everyone sat up abruptly, looking around nervously. Tong gasped, looking at the old spot, then around. Had that thing left? He quickly wiped the beads of sweat from his forehead. Uncle Ben, who was sleeping on the very edge, had also woken up and asked, "Bold." Tong stammered, "A ghost. I saw a terrifying female ghost." Uncle Ben sat up, used a lighter to relight the extinguished candle, then went over to Tong. The others just watched intently. Uncle Ben said, "You were probably just haunted during the day, so you're scared at night, son." Hearing Uncle Ben say that, Tong hoped he was just hallucinating. Then he intended to lie back down and sleep, but Son also whispered, I saw it too." The others began to clamor. Could it be the female ghost from this morning? Why are her remains gone, but her spirit is still here? What if it's not a female ghost? Despite all the agitated discussions, Truong continued to sleep soundly. The others, however, lost sleep that night, constantly fearing that female ghost would return. The next morning, as Uncle Ben was preparing to cook breakfast for everyone, he kept smelling a burning odor somewhere. He wandered around, searching, and finally opened the lid of the rice cooker he had used last night. Just in case, Truong said he was hungry. As soon as he opened the lid, Uncle Ben was startled and dropped the lid to the ground. Inside, the rice was so spoiled. It was watery, with fat maggots squirming inside. The sound of the lid falling also woke a few people. A sleepy voice complained, "Gently, Uncle. We couldn't sleep all night." Those who were awake came to look, and everyone was startled. Son stammered, "Ghosts. We're haunted. Otherwise, how could the rice be like this? Is Truong awake yet?" "Not yet, uncle." "All right, leave it here. We'll talk to him later. I guess I'll have to go to the market to buy offerings." "See, India, this is too scary." When Truong woke up and saw the rice, he said nothing, just ate his fill, then went outside to work. While working, Truong disappeared. He was gone for a long time. Everyone thought he had an upset stomach and was taking a bit longer in the restroom. When it was lunchtime, Truong still hadn't appeared. The group began to split up and search for him. After searching for a long time and not finding him, they gathered again. Uncle Ben said, "Where could he have gone? His motorbike is still here." Dawn interjected, "Or was he hidden by a ghost again, Uncle?" "I don't know." The group exchanged sighs, not understanding where Truong had run off to. Uncle Ben continued, "All right, go wash up and come eat." "He'll come back and eat later." "Yes." So, the whole group went to the well. On such a sunny day, splashing well water felt incredibly refreshing. Just as Thin reached the well, holding a bucket of water and about to lower it, he looked down and, terrified, stumbled back, screaming in horror. "Ah!" The group looked at Thin, then down into the well. Everyone's souls flew into the clouds. At the bottom of the well was a human corpse, head down, feet pointing skyward. Because it was a temporary well, its circumference wasn't too wide, but it was quite deep. Tong stammered, "Could it be Mr. Truong?" "Who knows? We'll only know after we pull it up." The matter of a corpse in the well was reported to the police. Receiving the report, the police quickly launched an investigation. The first thing was to seal off the scene and take statements from everyone. The story of Truong being haunted and falling into the well was not believed by anyone, as the investigation did not consider spiritual matters. Truong's body was recovered, sent for forensic examination, and then returned to his family for the funeral. It was only unfortunate for the workers there who had to be called in repeatedly by the police for questioning. The ongoing construction project was halted for a long time. Truong's body was quickly taken home for burial. After Truong's burial, it wasn't long before 4 people in his household, his elderly mother, wife, younger brother, and child, all went insane for no apparent reason. They screamed all day and caught living animals to eat. Sometimes they even tore at their own flesh. Telling the story up to this point, Aunt Han looked at the children and said, "That's the end of the story. You can all go now." The whole group clamored again, "How horrible, Auntie! Who was that corpse in the end, Auntie? And was his family saved, Auntie? Or did they just go crazy like that?" Aunt Han continued, "I don't know what Mr. Truong released at that time, but I heard that his family was eventually saved later on. It served that man right. His personality was so peculiar. That's why spiritual matters aren't just for the 7th month full moon. You should always be careful. Some things belong to the spiritual realm, and it's best not to disturb them. All right, go play. Go play inside the house." "Yes." Aunt Han then stood up and went to lock the gate, her eyes also looking towards the wutong tree opposite. In the dark night, she couldn't see anything clearly, only the tips of the incense sticks burning brightly suspended in the air. 9 tiếng. Tàu. Asung.